I'm live. I was live the whole time. I didn't know. All right. So for anybody that sees this, yeah, this is me doing my first Twitch live stream from my PC. No idea what I'm doing. Let's hope I set it up right. So what I'm doing tonight is I am editing my show, and now that I think about it, I don't think you can hear the show. So let's see here. Oh,
Well, and Lieberman also
there we go.
knew that the choices he was making were directly endangering his family. And Frank probably didn't know that at the time, and he's still telling himself that he's not the one that's responsible for his family's death.
We did see the point at which Lieberman was killed. They were trying to apprehend him or whatever. I don't think he was ever going to live off of that.
No, they weren't trying to apprehend him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolf kept saying he has a weapon, and obviously Lieberman did not have a weapon.
Hands up in the air.
Yeah, Lieberman, he was all like, well, if I don't do the right thing, then what type of person am I to my kids? Like, what type of role model am I?
Sarah warned him, though. His wife, Sarah, she said, if you do this, whatever happens is then your fault. She said, if you do this, whatever. All right, taking that out. It's a bunch of crutch words right there. Said, if you do this, whatever happens is then your fault. So I feel at this point I should tell everybody I'm using Vegas Movie Studio 15.0 Platinum, which you can see in the top left-hand corner right there. I've already loaded the tracks and everything. This is me in mid-edit of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 259. And I am just doing this on Twitch, just in case anybody's interested. So if you have a question, go ahead and leave it in the chat, and I'll go ahead and answer it either verbally or I'll type it in. But we are going to be editing the show here. This is the video edit of the show. I also do an audio edit of the show in Audacity after the fact because of truncate silence and a few other things. But this is the video edit. And just to show everybody what I've got here, this is the video preview up here. And these are the various tracks. Here's the video track with the audio track that came with the video when I recorded it on OBS. This red, now highlighted yellow, but this red track is actually the Hangout track. And what that is I recorded the incoming audio to me on my Zoom H6. This is the audio track for that, track 2. I was able to separate tracks using my Mackie Pro FX16V2. And then I have my track here that was also recorded on the Zoom H6. Zoom out a little bit here so you can see it. Down below is Haley's track, which she recorded locally on a Zoom H5. You can see there's a lot of audio missing. What I had to do there is because her laundry was going, I had to delete large swaths of the first 13 minutes because I could definitely hear her laundry banging around in the dryer. And that was affecting the recording. I couldn't hear it live, but I definitely heard it in the recording. So Skype or Google, this was via YouTube Hangouts, definitely took care of some of that. So I've already done that. And then Michelle's track, which was also recorded via local H5 for her. So there's 3 recording devices for audio going on right here. There's my Zoom H6. There's Haley's Zoom H5 in Arizona. And then there's Michelle's H5 in Indiana. The soundboard is another track on my Zoom H6. So the 3 tracks on my Zoom H6 are the Hangout track, my track, and the soundboard track. I really just use this as a cue for when to insert the sounds because I replace all these. I've never gotten a great recording from my soundboard into the Zoom H6 that I'm happy with keeping. Of course, it probably would sound great for 90% of the podcasts out there. I'm just a little bit of perfectionist. So I replace all those audios into these tracks here. So I've already replaced one bump, which is right there. And I've replaced the intro and the Gonna Geek pre-roll, which are here and here. So there you go. I have no idea why that was cut into, but it was. It doesn't matter. We're just going to leave it how it is. All right. I completely forgot where I was. I'll just go rats. All right, that's where I was. Here we go. Here we go again. Sarah warned him, though. His wife, Sarah, she said, if you do this, whatever happens is then your fault. So she...
Yeah, and it goes back to...
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit complicated. So there's a lot of silence here, which I'm going to take out because I don't think the YouTube viewer is going to appreciate it. And I'm going to take it out anyway when I do the audio edit. So she stepped in, Michelle stepped in, and this is going to be easy because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it all right there using this split. And I'm going to go probably about a second after I stop talking. Your fault. Your fault. Okay, right there. And then I'm going to give it a second because that's a good in between. And in Movie Studio, the seconds are right here. So I'm at 52:15. I'm going to go to 53:15 and it's at 30 frames per second. So all I have to do is click this next frame for 30 clicks or basically 1 second. Oh, didn't count them off for you. All right. I'm going to click down here. And the reason I'm clicking down here is it will select all the tracks if I don't have a track selected. So boom, go. And I will delete all that. I will delete it by selecting it. Selecting all the tracks. And I do that by clicking the shift button as I am clicking the left button on my mouse and clicking down. And I'm going to delete all that. Now I have to select everything to the right. And usually this wouldn't be a bad idea, but I've already broken up Haley's track. So now what I have to do is I have to select everything. Like this. If I didn't break up Haley's track already, which guess what? I'm going to have to cut in a little bit here. Make sure I get that first little thing. And then that happens. In a while. Didn't undo there. Okay, so shift all the way down. Isn't that? So now I've caught everything. I'm going to go back up here. Everything again. Huh. It'll be a little bit more difficult than I expected. Catching that first thing all the way on the left. There we go. I've caught everything. I can go down and confirm that. No, I didn't. That's all right. Caught everything. I'm going to zoom in by clicking the wheel forward. And I'm going to shift all this since it's since it's all selected over. And I have intentionally selected the fact that Michelle is starting to talk at this point, and I am on screen beforehand. So I will click on here and do a forward, just one little bit at a time. So you can see I've intentionally selected it. So it looks like it's a natural scene shift or flip. So here I am, I'm finishing talking. And all of a sudden you will see Michelle come on and then she'll start talking. So this is how I do a cut with only one video track and only one viewpoint. If I had multiple videos, if I had multiple views from multiple videos, I would be able to do this no problem with 2 or 3 cameras, but I only have the one camera, so that is a way of cheating the edit. So here is how it looks. I'll back up a little bit and I'll pull it up. So I'll be editing in real time right now. Here we go. But then he gets freaked out in his home and he ends up shooting at his own dad.
That's Lewis.
Lewis is definitely mixed up and probably should not have a firearm at his side at this point.
I was thinking that, yeah.
Oh, America.
True. But we've seen it several times in the last few years that I don't think that's the best thing for a suffering returning service member. Over in the federal building, we see Dinah is still investigating Wolf's death. She finds $30 million, or at least Sam finds $30 million, and Sam reports it to her. It'll be interesting following that money and following what exactly Wolf was into, because it's not just the drug trade, as we know.
Again, another white guy with money.
Fair enough.
I like how Sam calls Dinah out on her.
All right. Did you hear a little mouth noise there?
I like how Sam.
All right. I can get rid of that by selecting a split there and then selecting a trim there. Fair enough.
I like how Sam calls Dinah out on her hypocrisy, basically.
Yeah, about the trust factor.
Yeah.
Who spoke there? Yeah, about the trust factor. All right. S.H.I.E.L.D did. That's all right. In a multi-audio track, it's easy to take that out. Yeah, about the trust factor. Yeah, about the trust factor.
Yeah. Sam's like, hey, you come in here and you want to do your lone wolf, stick it to the guy investigation. And now you're the one in the chair and you're sort of acting like you want to.
All right. She stumbled going into it. Michelle, no big deal. I do it all the time, but it's easy to take out. Split it.
And you're sort of.
So you take it out and then you play it to see if it sounds right. And if it doesn't, you got to go back and take care of it. This is a lot easier in Audacity when I can go in and really go in. But in here, it's a little bit more difficult. First of all, Michelle's track is a little bit low. I have a significant amount of Gmax on it. I've got 24 dB of gain in the Gmax, a ceiling of -3 dB. So it's not going to clip or anything. But this doesn't change how big the waveform is on the track. Now I can make the track bigger and thus make the waveform a little bit bigger, but that takes up more screen space. And as you can see, I don't have all that much screen space when I'm talking all these tracks, a video, and then a view of the different files that I can pull down to be part of the project. So with that all considered, I have to deal with a little bit of guessing on tracks like that. And also Haley's track is a little bit low.
And now you're the one in the chair and you're sort of acting like you want to cover stuff up and maybe not go after certain things. I like that he is like, hey, come on.
So Haley, what was your overall impression of the episode?
Setup. Lots and lots of setup.
All right. I don't need that. I mean, I guess in this particular case, it might be okay. Usually, is a major crutch word. Here, she's legitimately trying to think because I've thrown a question to her, but I'm going to take it out because I don't think the audio listener really cares. All I do that is split the track and then choose a starting point and then see if she's still saying
Setup. 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 Setup.
All right. It truncates the S a little bit. Again, in Audacity, I could pick the exact moment that the S sound starts, but I think this will be fine for here. And then I don't have to do it in Audacity when I do this later. Some of this is I've identified that this is an edit that needs to happen. Let's do it once. Let's do it here if it's easy enough. If it's something like mid-word that I need to go in and really cut with finesse, I will back out and I will wait for the Audacity part. It's the one detriment of using an editor like this. Most of them are like this. You just can't get in and cut appropriately. Impression of the episode.
Setup. Lots and lots of setup.
Sounds like it was a little bit too rough for me.
Setup. Setup.
You know what? I'm going to leave that whole thing in, because if I just go with the setup, lots and lots of setup, it just doesn't sound right. And this is one of those cases where I've tried it, it doesn't sound right, so I'm going to leave it in.
Setup. Lots and lots of setup.
That's what I was thinking too. There was a lot of stuff that happened, and at the end of the episode, it was like, well, what exactly happened? There was a lot that did, but there was no conclusion. I think the suspense about Frank interrogating Micro, that was some continued suspense. And then, of course, the fight in Afghanistan, that was a lot of action. I was actually on the elliptical at the time, and I kept the heart pumping during the latter part of my workout. So cool on that.
We end this episode with our mission set up. Like Frank.
All right. Couple things here already that I've heard. She uses a crutch word by saying a duplicative word to start talking. I do this all the time. I'm not blaming Haley at all. I'm just going to take that out and see what it sounds like.
With our mission set up. Like Frank and Micro are going to work together.
The other thing I heard is the like. That can go out.
Mission set up. Frank and Micro are going to work together, and they're not taking, they're not collecting evidence. They're not bringing these work together, and they're not taking, they're not collecting evidence.
Okay. Because this is video, I'm going to leave that all in, because that's too long of a pause to take all those crutch words and stumbles out and then have her start talking right from the get-go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it in there, but in the audio version, I'm going to take that out. So it's not going to be there.
Are going to work together, and they're not taking, they're not collecting evidence. They're not bringing these guys to justice. They're killing these guys. Everybody that was involved.
Well, Frank wants to kill him. I think if it's up to Micro. All right, here's a case where there's an overtalk. I've decided as main host of the show to start talking, and Haley wasn't done talking. Usually when Haley trails off, she's done talking. So I feel like I didn't do anything wrong as a host here. However, you can always give somebody else another second or so to go. When you're live, it's very difficult to do that. If we were recording, not live, it would have been easier for me to wait. So in this case, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to listen to what she said, listen to what I said, see which one which one is more important to keep, and then take the other one out. In the rare case, I leave both of them in, but in this particular case, I think what I'm going to do is take hers out and leave mine in. We'll see what it sounds like. So first of all, I'm going to take her track, make it a solo, and just listen to her.
That's the plan. Everybody that was involved. That's the plan.
All right. I don't think that that's the plan needs to be there, but it might. Let's see what I say. Well, Frank wants to kill him. I think if it's up to Micro, he could. Yeah, this is a case that could probably go either way, but because I continue talking later, I'm going to take hers out just because it flows better with the video.
They're killing these guys. Everybody that was involved.
Well, Frank wants to kill him. I think if it's up to Micro, he could take it or leave it. He's good with the killing.
No, he said that's fine with me.
Right, but he doesn't.
That's fine.
All right. She does interrupt me, but then she double speaks that. I think I could take one of the that out. See what this sounds like. He's good with
No,
the
he
killing.
said that's fine with me.
Right, but he doesn't necessarily need. All right, in the audio edit, I'll probably try to tighten that up a little bit, but for now, it looks good. Good with
No,
the
he
killing.
said that's fine with me.
Right, but he doesn't necessarily need them killed. But in the grand scheme of things, if they're taken out, then he doesn't have to worry about them anymore. So it's a bonus for him. Michelle, what did you think over? Oops. What did you think overall of the episode?
I liked that we finally found out what happened in Kandahar. Kandahar right now.
It's Kandahar.
Oh, Kandahar. Sorry.
Okay, what I'm going to do in the audio is I'm going to take a lot of that out. But for this, it's I'm going to leave her stumbling a little bit. I would prefer not to, but with video, it's going to be very difficult to take that out. You know what? I leave that in. It's Kandahar.
I liked that we finally found out what happened in Kandahar. Kandahar right now.
It's Kandahar.
Oh, Kandahar. Sorry. Like Afghanistan now. Like it didn't drag out because people keep talking about this and that.
Okay, this is important to note. If I was doing an audio edit, I might leave this the way it is, and I might try to get her all in one without me interrupting and without her stumbling. But unfortunately, she never came back and said Kandahar. Now, this is an important note as a host. If you're going to go ahead and restate something and think it's going to be taken out in post, the stumble is going to be taken out in post, you have to actually recue yourself. So in this case, she could have started from the beginning and said this again.
I liked that we finally found out what happened in Kandahar.
Okay. Probably what happened in Kandahar would have been a great place for her to restart. And she never does that. She never goes back and resets herself. I know Lauren, because she's been doing a lot of audio narration, has been doing phenomenal work of resetting herself like that. Not everybody does it, not even me. And sometimes when I reset myself in such a poor reset that I can't use the reset. I actually have to use everything and keep the mistake in. So this is one of those cases where you'd like to take the mistake out, but I don't think we're going to be able to. Definitely not in the video, and probably not in the audio version either. Why not in the video? Just because I'm not going to go in and try to splice it the way it is. I think with my ears, I've heard all that I need to hear, that I'm going to keep it all in. And as much as I want to depict Michelle not stumbling here, I think it's just going to have to be there of her stumbling in.
I liked that we finally found out what happened in Kandahar. Kandahar right now.
It's Kandahar.
Oh, Kandahar. Sorry.
One thing I could do is take out that little tick. At least that's something. It's not desirable, but.
I liked that we finally found out what happened in Kandahar. Kandahar right now.
It's Kandahar.
Oh, Kandahar. Sorry. Like Afghanistan now. Like it didn't drag out because people keep talking about this and that. We see a video. We find out. And because we find out the truth and how Frank and Micro are connected, and even Dinah's connected, now we can. Dinah's connected.
I think I can take the out.
Dinah's connected. Dinah's connected. And because we find out the truth and how Frank and Micro are connected, and even Dinah's connected, now we can, go forward, like Haley said, find the people that Frank's.
I don't think it can take that out just because it's so tight there, but I'm going to try.
Go forward.
Oh, might be able to. Is considered a crutch word. There's a few others, but so I use that quite a bit myself, and I try to take that out a lot. So is a natural transition for me to say one thing and then moving into something else as my brain is catching up to what I actually want to say. I'll say so. This is something that a lot of people do, and I unfortunately a bad habit that I do. So I try to take it out when I can.
Now we can go forward, like Haley said, find the people that Frank's going to kill.
And if I'm remembering most of the Marvel Netflix series, it's in at least 2, if not 3 arcs. So the first arc is like the first 3 to 5 episodes, and then we get at least a second arc for the rest of the series. Do you think this is going to be the same breakup, Haley, or do you think we're going to see something different?
I think they've kind of got a formula at this point, so we're probably nearing the end of like the setup arc, and then we'll have.
Okay, I'm just going to go back and point. Let's be here.
I think they've kind of got a.
Okay, so whoops, moving stuff around that I shouldn't. Wow. Select. Alrighty. I'm still learning movie studio, and apparently you can't select a segment like I did while you're in a track. You have to go to an unused track in order to do it. In her statement, you will hear like, I believe 2 times. I would love to take both of them out. I don't think I'm going to be able to. And it will be in the audio edit, but I just want to run through this in case you're watching this. I don't like the likes in here. I think Haley would sound a little bit more intelligent without them. So here is Haley again. Listen to the likes and you decide whether you would take them out or not. I think I'm going to try to in post when I get to the audio edit, but I think I'm going to leave them in for the video edit. I think we're going to see something different.
I think they've kind of got a formula at this point, so we're probably nearing the end of like the setup arc, and then we'll have like the middle arc where they take on like the second tier villain, and then the final arc that brings down the big bad.
I heard like 3 times in another crutch word. I'm not going to take them out here in the video because I don't think I can get in there and sculpt them out correctly. I'm just going to leave them in the video. In the audio version, which is the podcast that I'm going to post, I am probably going to try to take those out. We'll see if that happens or not.
The big bad.
Okay. Michelle, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. It's a good way to, a nice beginning, middle, and end. It's a nice way to break things up.
Okay. I'm looking forward to next week. We'll be covering The Punisher episode 4 called Resupply. And yeah, any predictions on what's going to happen next week, Haley?
I think Frank's going to get a lot of guns.
That's typical Frank. Michelle, would you concur with that?
Yeah, Frank needs guns. He doesn't have a lot of guns right now. He's going to need that because, at the end, I love that he's like, look, I'm going to kill everybody. And Micro's just like, yeah, I can live with that. So they're going to need guns and grenades and other things that go boom.
Because it's the Punisher. I'm looking forward to that next week. In the meantime, Michelle, if you wanted to tell somebody if they're looking for other great geeky content for the week here, what else should you recommend to them?
Well, we have a lot of podcasts on the GonnaGeek.com network, including the Intellectual Podcast, episode 226, live from SD The Intellectual Podcast. Hosts David S. Dawson and Whitney Wigman chat with well-known Whovians, Travis Ritchie, Inspector Spacetime, Doc Phineas, Mark Biaggi, and Ben Patton. This lively discussion covered the history of Doctor Who, the progression of the show over the years, and the aspects of it that keep us all drawn into the adventure. Again, that's the Intellectual Podcast, episode 226.
All right. Now we're in the process where I've got this bump, which is incredibly low in volume, and it's also recorded. Well, I have the original recording, so why not replace it? This is how I do it.
Episode 226.
All right. At the end of an episode, I have a specific bump that I like to play. And usually it's end episode, which is this one right here. I'm not going to play that. I'm going to play the Daredevil one. So I'm going to try to swap that out. Now, the reason I'm doing a Daredevil one is because it's thematic to the fact that we're doing a Netflix program on one of the Defenders. And I don't know if the Punisher can be considered a Defender, but we'll just call all of the Netflix Marvel series the Defenders right now, or grouped as the Defenders, just like you would call the MCU the Avengers, right? So I'm just going to see about replacing that. Actually, I think that's what's there to begin with. Waveforms seem to betray me. Yep. So in order to line it up, you basically zoom in really far, and then you try to find something that can differentiate. In this case, it is this little peak. See this peak right there where my hand is over? I'm going to try to align that best I can. And that's as good as I can do. Then we'll see how far off it is using our ears.
26.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear that or not. I'm hearing a little bit of a cancellation effect, which tells me I'm really close. I'm not entirely there yet, but I don't have to be entirely exact. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that off. I'm going to see how it flows with the bump on the screen.
Venture. Again, that's the Intellectual Podcast, episode 226.
Oh, that worked out great. So that's where I'm going to end. Project save. That's it for tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. I will try it again tomorrow night. It's like 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. It's time for good old Grandpa SP to go to bed. So that's where I'm headed. Thank you very much for showing up. I will continue this tomorrow night and perhaps get into the Audacity edit as well.